Welcome to a new session from the paper Professionalizing Natural Science Education. Today we will deal with the topic Science and Technology from the module Science and Society. The words science and technology are often used interchangeably. The goal of science is the pursuit of knowledge for its own sake, while the goal of technology is to create products that solve problems and improve human life. Simply put, technology is the practical application of science. Science and technology have different purposes, ways of viewing and knowing the world, and thus their relationship is often tense and complex. Science and technology are everywhere in a child's environment. Within formal education, technology is one of the least recognized disciplines. Children use technology every day. Most have mobile phones and most can heat up a snack in the microwave while playing a computer game. It is important that children be encouraged to use computers, calculators and microscopes, as well as to develop the technology skills that come with inventing simple machines and taking apart old ones to see how they work. They need skills to survive in an information-based, technology-driven society. Technology, a brief overview. The purpose of technology is to intervene in the world to produce something other to that which currently exists. It achieves this through iterative, intellectual and design-based practices that involve multiple sources of input. These input sources include a mixture of that defined as natural, material, simulated, conceptual, emotional and imagined. Technologists also draw from the past, current and a range of possible and probable futures. Technological knowledge does not attempt to make claims to truth in the same way as scientific knowledge does. Instead, it has as its referent the process of function. What validates technological knowledge, therefore, is success, not truth. However, like science, the success of technological knowledge is determined within technological practice by experts within the domain of technology. Technological practices are situation specific and therefore are as diverse and varied as the context and people involved in the endeavor. Now let us see some of the differences between science and technology. Motto of science is knowing, whereas motto of technology is doing. Mission of science is the search for and theorizing about cause, but that of technology is the search for and theorizing about new processes. Result or relevance of science is to make virtually value-free statements, whereas technology activities always are value-laden. Evaluation methods of science includes analysis, generalization and creation of theories, but it is analysis and synthesis of design for technology. Goals achieved through science is corresponding scientific processes, whereas for technology it is technological processes. Focus of science is understanding natural phenomena, and that of technology is understanding the made environment. Development method of science is discovery or controlled by experimentation, whereas the development method of technology includes design, invention, production. Most observed quality of science is drawing correct conclusions based on good theories and accurate data, and that of technology is taking good decisions based on incomplete data and appropriate models. skills needed to excel in science are experimental and logical skills, whereas it is design, construction, testing, planning, quality assurance, problem solving, decision making, and interpersonal communication for technology. Interdependence of science and technology. Science and technology as a whole have become an integral part of social, economic life. The role of information, communication technology, utility of computer, internet technology have changed the concept of information processing. Contemporary global problems of overpopulation, depletion of natural resources, environmental degradation, damaging biodiversity, ill consequences of global warming, deforestation, and frequent drought, coupled up with threatening consequences, clearly indicate that these are science and technology based problems which are interconnected and interdependent. They cannot be understood with fragmented and compartmentalized approaches. There is a need to change our perspective. A holistic, integrative approach can promote constructive world view on science, technology, society, and values. How do science and technology fit together? Do we need science to develop technology, or do we need technology to further advance science? The difference between the two is simple. The goal of science is to understand the natural world. The goal of technology is to make modifications in the world to meet human needs. National Research Council, 1996. A single problem often has both scientific and technical aspects. The need to answer questions about the natural world often drives the development of technology, and technological needs often drive scientific research. For example, the problem of cleaning up an oil spill requires knowledge of the chemical interaction between oil, water, and the aquatic ecosystem. It also requires the technological know-how to clean up the oil without further damaging aquatic resources. Which came first, science or technology? Technology is older than the discipline of science. While it is true that science may have developed at first in response to the need to build things and solve practical problems, today discoveries in science often come before practical uses. As science has evolved, it has become increasingly linked to technology. Technology has become an essential part of scientific literacy, although it has not been given a place yet in the formal educational system. Technology is often thought of as just computers and video recording equipment. It is much more, however. Science and technology, key features of modern societies. Our societies are dominated and even driven by ideas and products from science and technology, and it is very likely that the influence of science and technology on our lives will continue to increase in the years to come. Scientific and technological knowledge, skills, and artifacts invade all realms of life in modern society. The workplace and the public sphere are increasingly dependent on new as well as upon more established technologies. So, too, are the private sphere and our leisure time. Scientific and technological knowledge and skills are crucial for most of our actions and decisions as workers, as voters, as consumers, etc. Challenges and perspectives. The decline in recruitment to scientific and technological studies must be understood as a social and political phenomena found in many, although not all, highly industrialized countries, but very seldom in less developed countries. The following is an attempt to suggest underlying reasons for the present difficulties. The first point refers to schools. The other are related to wider social trends. Outdated and irrelevant curricula. Many studies show that pupils perceive school science as lacking relevance. It is often described as dull, authoritarian, abstract and theoretical. The curriculum is often overcrowded with unfamiliar concepts and laws. It leaves little room for enjoyment, curiosity and a search for personal meaning and significance. It often lacks a cultural, social or historical dimension, and it seldom treats the contemporary issues related to science and technology. Is difficult and unfashionable. Scientific knowledge is by its nature abstract and theoretical, and it often contradicts common sense. It is also often developed through controlled experiments in artificial and unnatural and idealized laboratory settings. In a world where so many channels compete for the attention of young people, subjects such as science and technology are readily perceived as unfashionable. Lack of qualified teachers. Science and technology are often poorly treated in the preparation of teachers of children of primary school age. Moreover, those students who choose to become primary school teachers are often those who did not study or did not like science themselves in school. Anti- and quasi-scientific trends and alternatives. In many Western countries, there is an upsurge of alternative beliefs in the metaphysical, spiritual and supernatural. These movements are often collected under the label of New Age, and they comprise a rich variety of worldviews, practices and therapies. They include beliefs in UFOs, astrology and several forms of healing. Postmodernist attacks on science and technology. Many postmodernist thinkers reject some of the basic elements of modern science, including its basic epistemological and ontological tenets. In particular, they reject notions like objectivity and rationality. These postmodernist attacks on established scientific thinking have been dubbed, somewhat dramatically, the science war. Stereotypical image of scientists and engineers. Many research studies revealed that the perceived image of the typical scientist and engineer is stereotypical and problematic. They are not perceived to be kind or helpful and as working to solve the problems of humankind. Disagreement among researchers perceived as problematic. Scientists disagree about and debate many contemporary socio-scientific issues. Example, the causes of global warming, the effects of radiation, the possible dangers of genetically modified food. Such discussions are part of the normal processes involved in the healthy development of new scientific knowledge, and many argue that this open debate, this science in the making, is the hallmark of the scientific endeavor. Problematic values and ethos of science. The traditional values of science are meant to safeguard objectivity, neutrality, disinterestedness and rationality. These values may seem to justify an absence of ethical considerations and a lack of empathy with and concern for the social implications of science. Dislike of an over-ambitious science. The achievements of science may call for admiration, but some also prompt unease. Many people dislike the image and ambitions of modern biotechnology and have an emotional and irrational fear about scientists who are tampering with nature or playing God. The new image, big science and techno science. Science used to be seen a search for knowledge driven by individual intellectual curiosity, and historically scientists have been rightfully described as radicals and revolutionaries who often challenged religious and political authority. Contemporary science is different in a number of fundamental ways. Recent decades have brought a fusion of science and technology into what is called techno-science or big science. Scientists and engineers no longer heroes. Not very long ago, scientists and engineers were considered heroes. The scientists produced progressive knowledge and fought superstition and ignorance. The engineers developed new technologies and products that improved the quality of life. For many young people, the triumphs of the past are set aside in the readiness to blame science and technology for many of the serious problems of the present. The new role models, not in science and technology. A white-coated, hard-working and not very well-paid scientist in a laboratory is not a role model for many of today's young people. The social climate, especially in developed countries, is not one which is easy to convince young people that they should concentrate on learning science at school or beyond. A communication gap between scientists and the public. The scientific and technological establishment is often confused and annoyed when confronted with criticism. Criticism and skepticism are often seen as derived from misunderstandings and/or a lack of knowledge on the part of the public. Complementarities between science and technology. Knowing and doing science and technology involve both hands-on activities and minds-on engagement by students. Hands-on means experiential learning that provides a degree of independence for the learners when they interact with their environment. It is a direct learning that results from exploration, manipulation or observation of the physical world. But hands-on activities without minds-on engagement are merely entertaining activities for students. To achieve significant learning, hands-on activities must become minds-on learning. Hands-on and minds-on activities in technology elicit levels of critical and creative thinking that helps students question, rethink, and reconstruct their understandings. Why is it important that technology be included in a non-formal science education program? It is important for two reasons. First, technology is a key vehicle for stimulating learning about science. Technology activities in a non-formal setting can create environments and present content in ways that are more engaging and that involve students more directly than traditional learning methods. Second, non-formal science programs are most often dedicated to fostering lifelong learning skills. The skills developed through technology activities will prepare students for the increasingly technical and information-based workforce that awaits them. Students who have science knowledge and technological know-how will, no doubt, be valued members of the society. Such members are essential to the civic and economic well-being of the nation. Due to the nature of contemporary society, the relationship between the domains of science and technology has never been stronger. Both domains are recognized as key forms of human activity and stand alongside the arts and social sciences as fundamental to human achievement and expression. Essential to recognizing the strength of the relationship between science and technology is the acknowledgement that neither holds a subservient position. Science and technology work together for the mutual benefit and growth of each domain in both intended and unexpected ways. In order to understand the complexity of the relationship between science and technology, it is first important to establish how the two domains differ, particularly given it is these differences that provide the strength of their current alliance. The differentiation between science and technology can be characterized by three key factors: the domain's core business or its purpose, its view of what exists in the world, its ontological stance, and how it defines and validates knowledge, its epistemology. The following provides an overview of how these factors are articulated within current understandings of science and technology. Science, a brief overview. The overriding purpose of science is to explain the natural world through iterative intellectual and investigative practices that involve observations and controlled manipulations of that world. The role of scientists is to interrogate the real things of the natural world in order to construct explanations of them. How do they relate? Scientific knowledge and methodologies themselves provide a major source of input into the development of technological practices and outcomes. They are also key tools in the establishment of explanations of why technological interventions were or were not successful. In short, science can provide powerful explanations for the why and why not behind technological intervention. However, as these interventions rely on more than an understanding of the natural world, they can only provide partial justification for technological practices and outcomes. Technological practices, knowledge and outcomes can provide mechanisms for science to gain a better view of its defined world, and in fact can provide serious challenges to the defining of that world. The relationship between science and technology is something that has greatly evolved, especially over the last few years. This is something that is present in a wide variety of activities, sources and possibilities. There is a large impact on science through technology. For example, if a science experiment is done, it can change the way that technology is used or changed. Technology is used to determine changes in the environment, scientifically as well as much more. The two are related and are very intertwined in our modern world, but they are also distinct in terms of their goals. The goal of science is to understand the natural world, hence the highest aim is to create theories. A theory explains. The goal of technology is to solve problems, hence the aim is to create solutions. The relationship between science and technology is a very close one. This is because they are both linked by one important aspect of life, knowledge. Without science, technology in essence would not and could not exist. Technology is basically the practical application of the science, so the two items go hand in hand. For example, without the knowledge of how a large rotating item, which is not necessarily particularly sharp, can crush and mix up food better than a human may be able to do with just a wooden spoon, then you would not have a blender. This can be applied to any piece of technology, whether it is a computer, washing machine or microwave. Without science, technology could not exist. Thus, science and technology go hand in hand with one another. Looking at it from a knowledge perspective, science is the accumulation of knowledge and technology is the application of that knowledge gained from science. This can be proved further by the dictionary definition of technology, which is the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes, or the alternative definition, which is machinery and equipment developed from such scientific knowledge. This shows the correlation between the two applications of science and knowledge. Implications for education. From the above, it can be seen that science and technology have a fundamentally different purpose and different ways of viewing and knowing the world. Just as science and technology work in mutually beneficial ways in the wider context of scientific and technological endeavors, within the context of education, their relationship can be profitably explored to enhance learning in both areas. Scientific knowledge and methodologies are useful and in many cases critical to students' successful undertaking of technological practice and in the development of technological knowledge. Technological knowledge, practices and outcomes in turn can provide useful and again in many cases critical tools, both conceptual and material, for scientific practice and the development of scientific knowledge. Technological practices and outcomes can also provide authentic context which enables students to develop deeper, more meaningful understandings of scientific knowledge and methodologies. Exploration of the nature of both science and technology can provide fertile grounds for developing deeper understandings of both through reflecting on the differences between these key areas of being human. The converging boundaries between that perceived as the made and the natural world, the real and simulated, the currently impossible and future probable, all demand students develop such relational cross-domain knowledge in combination with in-depth understandings within both science and technology. This in turn allows for the development of a critical frame essential to the development of scientific and technological literacy that supports students towards informed citizenship. Now let me summarize the session. In this session, we discussed about science and technology and their interrelationship. Science is normally seen as a systematic study, while technology is a process of making things work through the use of scientific concepts. Technology is derived from the understandings and applications of specific sciences. This means that technology is dependent on science. The challenges facing contemporary science and technology education are multifaceted. The problems related to interest in and attitude towards science and technology cannot be regarded as solely educational, but need to be understood and addressed in a wider social, cultural and political context. Now here are some assignments. What are the differences between science and technology? What are the complementaries between science and technology? What is the relevance of science and technology in teacher education? Science and technology are considered as key features of modern society. Justify. Here are some books for further reference. Technology as Knowledge, Implications for Instruction by D. Hirschbach, 1995, from the Journal of Technology Education, Volume 7. Misunderstanding Science, The Public Reconstruction of Science and Technology by Irwin A. and Wayne B. 1996, published by Cambridge University Press, Cambridge. Public Understanding of Science and Science Education for Action by E. W. Jenkins, 1994, from the Journal of Curriculum Studies, Volume 26. Status Report: Linkage between Technology and Science by F. Narin and D. Olivastro, 1992, from the Research Policy. Real Science: What It Is, What It Means by J. Zeman, year 2000, published by Cambridge University Press, Cambridge. Thank you for watching this program. See you with another topic next time. Bye.